Hello, my fellow minor league nerds, and welcome to our newest Minor League Nerd Shorts episode. In this episode, we will cover the Nashville Xpress of the Southern League. We originally covered them in our old Throwback Thursday Cap the Day series, making this our 8th expanded and recut episode from that series. The city of Nashville was represented by the Nashville Volunteers, shortened to the Vols, in the Southern Association from 1901 through 1961, with the league folding following the 1961 season. The Vols were offered a spot in the South Atlantic League for 1962, opting to sit that season out. They would join the league for the 1963 season, dropping out and folding afterward due to poor attendance and financial issues. Nashville would not see another professional team until 1978, when former Vanderbilt Commodores head coach Larry Schmittou put together an ownership group that included country music artists Conway Twitty, Cal Smith, and Jerry Reed. Their group was awarded a Southern League expansion franchise, which became known as the Nashville Sounds. That same year, Herschel Greer Stadium opened, which the Sounds would call home through the 2014 season. They would win the 1979 and 1982 Southern League titles. In an attempt to position Nashville as a future MLB expansion city, Schmittou purchased the AAA Evansville Triplets of the American Association before the start of the 1985 season, moving them to the Music City, becoming the AAA Sounds we know today. We have an episode about the Evansville Triplets coming out soon, so be sure to keep an eye out for that. And that brings us to the Nashville Xpress. When the National League added the Colorado Rockies and the Florida Marlins for the 1993 season, it meant expansion within minor league baseball as well. At the AAA level, the International League would add 2 teams. One was the Ottawa Lynx, who we covered in Part 3 of our History of Professional Baseball in Ottawa, with the second team being awarded to Charlotte, North Carolina, to be owned by George Shinn, owner of the NBA Charlotte Hornets. The only issue was Charlotte already had a baseball team, the original Charlotte Knights, who played in the AA Southern League, which was also owned by Shinn. This meant he would need to find a new home for his Southern League Knights. At first, it looked as if the team was going to move to New Orleans, as Tom Benson, owner of the New Orleans Saints, was interested in buying the team, bringing them to the Big Easy. That move, though, was blocked as minor league baseball allowed the uprooted AAA Denver Zephyrs of the American Association, who had to move to make room for the Colorado Rockies, to move to the city instead to become the New Orleans Zephyrs, later the Baby Cakes, and currently the Wichita Wind Surge. The Southern League approached Larry Schmittou about letting the team play in Winston-Salem, where he also owned the Advanced A Winston-Salem Spirits. The ballpark, though, did not meet AA standards. Instead, the Sounds offered to let them play at Greer Stadium for the 1993 season. In the agreement, the Sounds would operate the team and George Shinn would retain ownership. The name Express had a dual meaning. It referenced the freight trains that ran along the tracks beyond the outfield wall of Greer Stadium, as well as their sudden arrival and expected departure after the season. The Express would play on days that the Sounds were out of town. They were affiliated with the Minnesota Twins and were managed by former major leaguer Phil Roof. In that season, the team would win the Western Division first half title with a 40-31 record, finishing with an overall record of 70-72. In the postseason, they would get swept in 3 games by the second half winners, the Birmingham Barons, who would go on to win the Southern League Championship that season. In October 1993, it was announced that George Shinn and Dennis Bastine, owner of the Charleston Wheelers, now Charleston Dirty Birds of the Atlantic League, would make a franchise swap. Bastine included all of the Wheelers' assets and over $1 million in exchange for the Express. Shinn then sold the Wheelers to a Charleston group who wanted to ensure they stayed in town. The deal was finalized in May 1994. Schmittou agreed to allow the Express to play in Greer Stadium for another season. Roof was back managing them in 1994. The team would fail to qualify for the postseason, finishing with an overall record of 74-66. Michael Jordan, who was playing for the Birmingham Barons that season, visited Herschel Greer several times. The Express drew 135,048 fans, the lowest in the Southern League. It was a drop of over 43,000 from their previous season. In July 1994, the Southern League Board of Directors stated that they wanted the team out of Nashville in 1995 and in a permanent location in 1996. Schmittou was also unwilling to have the team back for another season, as hosting them was too much of a financial risk. Bastien wanted to move the club to Lexington, Kentucky, but was unable to broker a deal with the city to build a ballpark. He then expressed interest in moving them to Bayamon, Puerto Rico. After hearing about the planned move, the Minnesota Twins began looking for a new Double-A team. The Express would end up teaming up with the Seattle Mariners, who were also not too keen on the idea of sending players to and from Puerto Rico. This plan never came about due to the increased travel costs to and from the island. In January 1995, Bastien came to terms to move the team to Springfield, Missouri, where a new stadium would open for the 1997 season. For the 2 seasons before that, the team would play in Wilmington, North Carolina as the Port City Roosters and were operated by Steve Bryant, owner of the Carolina Mudcats. The move to Springfield, though, never materialized, as like Lexington, funding for the ballpark was never secured. The team ended up being sold to Eric Marginau, who moved them to Mobile, Alabama, where they played as the Mobile Bay Bears until 2019. Today, they are now known as the Rocket City Trash Pandas. Some future major leaguers who played for the Express include LaTroy Hawkins, Brad Ratke, Eddie Guardado, and Damian Miller. Well, my fellow minor league nerds, that does it for this episode. Until next time, stay safe, and be sure to never stop supporting minor league baseball and never stop learning about minor league baseball history.
This podcast is part of the Curved Brim Media Network. Here are some of the other members of Curved Brim Media.
Hi, this is Ed Rivera of the Data Chronicles. Join me as I interview people just like you and players, coaches, GMs on the path that led you to become a fan of the sport.
I'm Paul Caputo, and on the Baseball by Design podcast, I talk to minor league baseball teams, designers, and other super interesting people about what these minor league baseball logos mean, and I talk a little bit about ice cream helmets.
What's up, Bucketheads? I'm Anna DiTommaso, and each week on the Baseball Bucket List podcast, I speak with a different fan about their favorite baseball memories, what the game means to them, and what's left to check off on their baseball bucket list.
Hey everyone, it's Eric from the great state of Kansas.
This is Johnny from the New Orleans Baby Cakes Memorial Museum.
And we are the Earn Fun Average podcast,
where we talk to a variety of guests about their love of baseball and have fun doing it.
America, lower your standards.
Average is what we do best.
This is Patrick and Corey of BaseballMapper.com, and we have made an interactive map to help highlight all baseball teams from the majors down to collegiate summer leagues.
We want to bring you closer to baseball, so get on the site and find a team near you today.
Hey guys, this is Patrick Larson from the Minor League Baseball Hat History Series, and in every episode I go through the history of minor league teams through my personal collection of hats. You can find me on Twitter at @PatLarson1. I hope you guys enjoy.
Learn more about Curved Brim Media at curvedbrimmedia.com.